All right. So of course QM 5091, edition 2, schedule and dispatch petroleum pipeline operations. Introductions. Of course. Let me check and see if I had done this one before. I'm not sure if I had done this one before. All right. We'll start over again. All right. Schedule and dispatch petroleum operation. Petroleum schedule and dispatch petroleum pipeline operations QM 5091 edition 2. Subcourse introduction. Subcourse is designed to train a S76W50 shoulder how to schedule dispatching operations on a petroleum pipeline. We cover each of the tasks where the responsibility are in scheduled dispatching petroleum products through the pipeline. 2 credit hours will be awarded successful for completion of the subcourse. Lesson 101, 519, scheduled dispatch petroleum pipeline operations result successful. Completion subcourse will be able to perform the following performance measures: prepare the consumption graph out of storage capacity for the product in thousands of a barrel against the time and the money. The intervals figure the 100 past the hour to the day 100 past the next. Plot a 5% vapor space on the top of the graph. Plot a 4-day safety level at the bottom of the graph. E, draw the broken line calculated issues receipts. F, draw the solid line actual issues receipts. G, whenever the projecting tank cleaning subtracting the capacity of the tank from the total capacity indicated this on the graph. 2, the direct dispatching schedule product generated usually interface with the ranging aviation gasoline, motor gasoline, and aviation turbine fuel, kerosene, and diesel fuels in the pipeline. 3, prepare a monthly pipeline schedule. Prepare the chart on the sloping tabletop, which can be equipped with the parallel rule. Determine the number of hours in the line to operate each day. Show the time of the beginning of the end of the one working day. Draw 1 inch for each hour of the 24-hour period. Represent the time period with vertical axis. Represent the line filled with the distant barrels on the horizontal axis. 1 inch represents 100 barrels. Show the terminal's respective line and fill the distance downstream of the base terminal. Plot the vertical on the chart. F, provide each of the batch with different batch with the number when it is put into the pipeline. Provide the new batch with the number of the product taken from the line intermediate terminals, then put back into the line. Use the differential color code of the different type of the product. For example, the AV gas mode, the Bill gas, and red with the JP gas green, JP4 green, kerosene yellow, diesel brown. Divided the pump rating with the distance into the barrel. Determine the number of hours it will take the batch to reach a designated place. Drop the solid sloping line straight into the indicated with no intermediate terminal stripping. Change the angle sloping of the line to indicate the intermediate terminal stripping. To draw the broken vertical line when stripping action is taken to occur. Note that the points of the sloping line intersect the vertical line representing the terminals in the station. Indicated schedule of arrival times when you have drawn all the through-output lines will have represented, but all small scheduled pumping and delivery operations over each month. 4, prepare a daily pumping schedule. Transfer the data from the monthly schedule and an abbreviated tablet for the day. The concerns show the emergency requirements. Prepare the schedule a week in advance for the dispatching section. Can be flexible, establishing its operations. Given the completed graph schedules to your operations sergeant as each one is completed. Lesson text. General, in order to provide with the vast quantities of bulk fuels required for the military today, we use the pipelines. Essential the pipelines are currently with the fastest, most economical means of transporting bulk petroleum products to the using units. A senior petroleum NCO, you must be able to plan and schedule for the future movement of the product through the pipeline. You must your miss also must be able to direct the actual movement of the dispatch, the fuel of the desired time and the proper quantity, all the proper sequence. The schedule is based with the estimated requirements available the product, estimated with the translated into the schedule that serves as the basis for the daily pumping instructions. To prepare a forecast for any given number of the days, you must have the sum of the means of determining the certain products with required when they will be required, the amount of available storage space, the length of the time, and it will be time to product to reach the destination after it be started through the pump line pad. So issue records are the best means to determine the daily requirements through the pipeline system, knowing the daily requirements available storage for the space along the line quantity for the product authorized to be on hand with the various terminals. You can prepare some consumption graphs. Paragraph 2, which shows the projected consumption and deliveries. You must prepare 2 schedule the monthly pipeline schedule. Paragraph 4, and the daily pumping schedule. Paragraph 5. 2, the consumption graph. The purpose of the consumption graph, figure 1, provides the required data needed to prepare the monthly daily schedule to provide with the current quantities on hand and storage capabilities. Consumption graph has been maintained in the main distribution office of each product handled with each storage point. Each terminal shall be maintained similar graphics for large volume users. The graphs are available and for you visualization, present and future stock storage positions for the revealing trends in consumption consumption suddenly increases, if it decreases, consumption are apparent immediately, and schedule adjustments can be made. B. Preparation of the consumption graph. The consumption graph must be set up to show the total barrels are given to the product with each of the terminal storage capacity and location of the separate graph. Should not be prepared for each of the tank. Figure 1 consumption graph of the motor of gasoline during the pump month of October. The storage capacity of the product, thousands of the barrel. Vertical axis is plotted against the time of the monthly intervals. Horizontal axis days are figured out with the 1 minute past 0 hours in one day to the past 100 hours the next. Figure 1 reflects the total capacity of 60,000 barrels, or 60 BBLs. Figure 1 shows the consumption graph. 2. Allowance of the vapor space. 5% of the total storage capacity is shown with the top of the graph. The vapor space allows the room to fuel and expand the contract with the temperature change for terminal Z. The 60 m. The 60 barrels capacity varies. The space of the figures as follows: 60,000 barrels capacity times 5% vapor space. 60,000 times 0.5 equals 3,000 barrels of vapor space. 3,000 barrels of vapor space, and is plotted down to the top of the graph. See Figure 2 for a close-up. All right, Figure 2 shows the plot of the vapor space. 3,000 barrels. Safety level, which based on the 4-day nominal average daily consumption, is shown with the bottom of the graph. The 4-day safety level figured as follows: the 4 days and the 60,000 barrels. Normally daily consumption from the note. Figure 1, 4 times the daily supply of 60,000 barrels to 24,000 barrels. 4-day safety level, and see Figure 3 for a close-up. Figure 3 shows the plot of 4-day safety level. Calculated issue receipt is shown with the broken line, and the actual receipt issue shown with the solid line. And figure with the 4 period began with the 49,000 barrels in the storage of the first day through the total issue 7,000 barrels and total receipt of 5,000 barrels. The line shows the constant drop in the quantity of 49,000 barrels to 42,000 barrels, less than 7,000 in less than 7 mile. 49,000 barrels, less than 7,000 barrels issued. The line reflects the 5,000 gallon barrels. 5,000 barrels gained, the showing of the sudden rise to 42,000 barrels, the 47,000 barrels, and 42 on hand plus 5 plus received. The second day shows the 8,000 barrels issued with the 9,000 barrels received. The third day shows the projected issue of 6,000 barrels with the projected receipt of 7,000 barrels, and the projection for the next 2 days are shown in Figure 4. Figure 4, actual projected issues and receipts. 5. Projected tank cleaning repairs reducing storage capacity must be provided with reduced storage capacity subtracted from the total capacity in Figure 1. Figure 1, a 20,000 barrel tank is shown with the scheduled cleaning of the 20th of July. The total capacity of Terminal Z is reduced to 20,000 barrels. Notice that all the vapor size has been refigured, and now the 5% of the 40,000 barrels of 2,000 barrels difference in stock on hand for the day indicated with the rate of the consumption. The average rate of consumption based on the past experience must be projected with the plan of the future issues. The system must be replenished via the pipeline based on the projected consumption rate. The batch number Figure 1 shows the entirety of each of the receipt with the Figure 2 1 with the 4,000 barrels to 2 the 7,000 barrels 2 4 the 4,000 barrels represent the batch number, the quantity of fuel in the batch number to identify with the type of the product. The batch number must be assigned with the type of each of the batch is put into the line. When the product is put into the terminal, it loses its number. When it's taken out and moved further up the line, it is assigned a new batch number. A batch number is made of the 2 parts of the product code number and a numerical variable batch. For example, such as 2 4. The product code of the first number that identifies the product of the suggested code for the most common products are product code AV gas is 1, MoGas is 2, JP4 is 3, kerosene is 4, and diesel is 5. Example given for the 2-4 number 2 identifies that the product is an automotive gasoline. Batch numerical value. The second part of the batch number identifies the number of batches of the particular product being pumped during the official year. The number is assigned with the sequence of batch number would be the first batch of the product pumped after 100 hour, 1 after 100 hours. October, for the example, the 2-4 for the this means the 4th batch of the MoGas pumped with the pipeline for the official year. Additional information is included with the personnel involved with the quantity being pumped. The quantity expressed in thousands of barrels is M. A batch number that leave the additional number that's added with the 2-4, the MoGas at 4H. That would mean that the batch has 2 or 2. The MoGas was 4,000 barrels. All right, your batch scheduling. Pipeline should be, whenever the practical, be used with one type of the grade of the product only. However, the bulk petroleum the pipelines are often used multiple product lines. Products arise with the pumping more than one product through the pipeline, mixing the product, fulfilling the progress of the different products, but mixed with the portion so that the products to be taken off the line in the proper place in the disposition interface. Controlling size interface of the scheduling should be done with the sequence to generally generate a small usable interface. The volume in the interface depends on these factors: difference of the gravity adjacent with the product, measured velocity of the stream, interior conditions of the pipe, number of the pumping station, distance traveled for the interface. The size of the interface can be minimized by maintaining sufficient flow rate and velocity, indicating the introducing the products into the pipeline in proper sequence. Packaging during the shutdown of the main beat by maintaining a package pressure line, pressurized line. Sufficient pressure, positive pressure will tend to equalize small difference in gravity. Thus, the interface volume is kept at the minimum. Whether the interface stop at the level ground or on a slope, the pipeline should never be shut down while interface is in the line if it can be avoided, because some of the increase of volume the interface will be taking place. The longer the pipeline is shut down, the longer the interface can become. To determine the batch sequence. 1. Determine the product should be batched with the bump beyond another. You must consider not only the product demands but also the API gravity. Each of the product should be injected with the pipeline. The sequence of the new product with the API gravity is close to possible, but the previous product, the following procedures will generate the small usable interface. Products like to be batched in the military. Multiple product pipelines include aviation gas, automotive gas, jet fuel, and kerosene and diesel fuel. Figure 5 shows the common appropriate API gravity ranges for these products. The API gravity scale for the petroleum product. Although the product should be scheduled with according with the API gravity the product demands, does not always use allow this. Products can be batched for the sequence, but extremely care and extreme precaution must be observed. Figure 6 describes the tank interface that should be cut into, and maximum percentage of the interface should be also given to ensure the maximum percentage is not exceeded. The careful record must be kept. Interfaces to include the tank number, quantity, interface product injected into the tank is general only, with the interface should be injected into any one of the tank of the product prior to the issue. The primary rule for the schedule in your batches and interface so that the percentage of the figure 6 is never exceeded after the receipt of your tank should be a sample of the laboratory analyst performed. The laboratory analysis results any guidance petroleum laboratory NCO should be checked before the making of the final decision. Scheduled batches and interfaces. The lab NCOIC and it should be provided with the operation of the tank, except for the next interface to the maximum amount of the tail product of the interface that can be cut with the recommendation product of the recommended tank. For example, the lab recommended the maximum 75 barrels of the tail product that can be into the recommended tank of the interface of 100 barrels long would contain the recommended tank of the interface of 100 barrels long. It would contain 50 barrels ahead of the 50 barrels of the tail. So cutting the entire interface into the tank would be acceptable. The length of the quantity of the interface determined with the multiple flowing rate, the length of time required for the interface to be given point. The flow rate can be determined from our pipeline schedule. The length of the interface, the minutes, and determined by having someone physically check the API gravity changes to record the times. Example: when we producing the 1,000 B8 barrels per hour. Time interface to pass the 15 seconds to 15 seconds times 60 seconds to 25 quarter of 0.25 minutes. If the flow rate of 1,000 barrels per minute per hour divided into 60 minutes equals the 16.66 barrels or 700 gallons per minute, with the 16.66 barrels at times 42 gallons per barrel, 700 gallons times 0.25 minutes equals 175 gallons of interface. This shows a figure 6 shows the pipeline product sequencing table. Alright, since the condition of the no tanks is exactly the same, the schedule should be normally have the interface going into the tank of the high quality fuel. Figure 6 shows the slope of the tank used in many of the cases. To receive the interface of these cases, the slope of the tank is available should be used. The no slop tank is available. The principal outline with the 3B23 above should be varied in closely percentage allowable interface. No slop tank is available. You must either schedule a small quantity and other acceptable products between these two products. Simply schedule the entire interface with the dispose in the tank that can be accepted. The schedule must be done in such a way that protect all the quality of the products. For monthly pipeline schedules, generally the monthly pipeline schedule of the figure 7 is based on the requirements to maintain stock levels, show the program movements through the pipeline when it is known, but the product is required for the 30-day period. The schedule can be prepared to determine the time in which the product can reach the destination after it has been started through the pipeline. The schedule is merely a graph, shows the line of capacity in barrels, distance plotted against the time in hours. Preparation of the schedule is prepared on a slopping tabletop, can be equipped with a full-length full-length parabolic desirable rule, the desirable use the adjustable protractor with the parallel row. Make sure that the flow rate is scaled and plotted correctly. The number of the hours of the line pumped in each day must be determined before the schedule is made. The time is shown at the beginning of the day, the end of the given work day. The chart drawn vertical axis representing the time period. Normally 1 inch of the vertical time axis represents 1 hour of the 24 major units represented pipeline day. Figure 7. Figure 7 shows the monthly pipeline schedule. The horizontal axis drawn in the shown on line fill in the distance of barrels. Normally 1 inch of the horizontal axis represents 100 barrels. Terminals are located in the respective line distance downstream from the base terminal are plotted vertically. Each batch is labeled the product identified in the batch. By the batch, each type of the product is marked on the graph with distinctive colors. Suggested the colors should follow the Aipd gas blue, MoGas red, JP4 green, kerosene yellow, and diesel brown. The distance of the barrel is divided with the pumping rate and the number of the hours it will give the given batch to read the designated hour. Place see note number 1, figure 7. The slope throughout the pump line, throughput lines remains constant whenever the immediate stripping of the gravity remains approximately the same. Examples are shown in figure 7. The batch is designated with the 2.5 to 6,000 shown with the pump in terminal X to the terminal Z at the constant rate of 500 barrels per hour. Alright, 7. Stripping of the product of the intermediate terminal is indicated with the change of the rate of flow. This is shown on the graph. The change in the angle of the throughput lines. Putting the rate in the intermediate terminal minus take off the external equal the throughput beyond. A broken vertical indicated with the striping action. Note 2, the figure 7. The figure 7 batch 3.5 to 2,000 barrels is being pumped to terminal X at 500 barrels per hour. The terminal Y 250 barrels per hour and stripped it off, and the remaining of 250 barrels per hour is being pumped to terminal Z. 9. A broken horizontal line indicates that the pipe is shut down. The point is in which the slope intersects the vertical line represents the terminal station, indicates the scheduled arrival terms. 11. When all the throughput lines have been drawn, the graph represents the scheduled pumping and delivering operation for the month. Example figure 7 shows the example of the 2-something portion of month pipeline schedule, almost monthly scheduled master plan on the daily pumping schedule, graphic progress chart, daily pumping order, and based on figure 7 may be explained reading the daily pumping order of July 5th given in the figure 8 in paragraph F. Figure 6 is the daily pumping schedule. 5. Daily pumping schedule. Daily pumping schedules are prepared on the basis of the dispatching pipeline. They are translation monthly schedule, abbreviated tablature for the days concerned with the schedule. The slow changes emergency requirement are usually prepared with a week in advance. The dispatching section begin to be equipped with a week's supply. They're served at the basis of the graphic progress chart in terms of the daily pumping order. 6. Completed graph schedule. When all the graph schedules are completed with the forward operation, sergeant, distribution, and additional required action, copies are kept on the file on help with the estimated requirements are covered in paragraph 1. And that concludes subcourse QM 5091, edition 2, schedule of dispatching petroleum pipeline operations, Army Institute of Professional Development, Army Correspondence Course Program.